right, good evening, everyone, and welcome out to Speed Racing Network, where we present the Monster 150 right back here at Dover International Speedway, where we were last night with the Truck Series. Had a really great race there last night. My name is Sean Griffith. I almost forgot what my name was. My name is Sean Griffith. I am here with Brandon Domain, one of our drivers from last night. How's it going tonight, Brandon?
It is good, and Dover, one of my favorite places to run. It's a fun racetrack, and now we're adding the joy of a cutoff race for the playoffs. So it's just going to be even better tonight.
Man, anytime you have what's considered to be a short track, I mean, it's only 1 mile long, and then you have a cutoff race, all that stuff gets compounded all together, all the stress inside the car and everything. But then on top of all that stuff, it's not just a short track, it is the Monster Mile.
Man, it is like a 1 mile roller coaster when you start going around this place. It just does something different. It feels different than any other track. And it does pull out those emotions a little bit, even without it being a playoff race. You add the emotion of it tonight, the intensity of it tonight. We might see something that takes it up another level than what we've already seen in these playoffs.
Oh, definitely. And out here on this track last night, we saw those trucks really going from top to bottom. And really, it's kind of like a concrete jungle out there because you have a wall on the inside, a wall on the outside, and just nothing in between to stop you. So you make one mistake and it's all over.
Yeah, I mean, you can go, you can run 2 wide, you can go 3 wide if you really want to, and you really want to make that work if you got the skill and the ability to do it. But it's surprisingly narrow despite that, and just the way that you kind of leap out of the turns, and you dive into them. It's just the way everything's set up there. It just, like I said earlier, just feels different. But man, I'm really interested to see how these Xfinity guys handle it last night. I think for the most part, the guys in the truck series, we did pretty solid, and kind of navigating this place, and hopefully we'll see more of that tonight.
Oh, definitely. I think we're going to see some really great racing out there. Looking out at the standings right now, I mean, you've got 500ths of a second separating the entire top 10 right now. So if you want good racing, this is the place to do it. And in this series, we have great racing all season long. 20 weeks of this stuff fixed, set up, so all the cars are exactly the same. $10 a week to get in. Now, keep in mind, you do get one fast repair, so maybe you can make one mistake here at Dover, but that's about it, Brandon.
Yeah, and that was something last night. I was grateful that we had a fast repair. Got caught up in that big parking lot there on the front stretch about midway through. In the trucks, we got two as we kind of develop our skills a little bit more. In Xfinity Series, you only get that one fast repair. It's going to be real important to pick your spots here, especially with 25 more laps than we had last night, too.
Yeah, a lot of time out there to make your moves and everything, but also a lot of time to get in some trouble out there also. But, if you make it through tonight, you make it through into the next round of the playoffs, and then you make it through to the finals of the playoffs, you have a shot at that $500 first place prize. And then we also still have that team championship out there for $200 as well. So lots of money going on, lots of stress out there. It is going to be a phenomenal night here tonight.
Oh, absolutely. And last night, too, like being one of those guys that I wasn't safe, did thankfully make it and held my position in sixth, but it is a stressful night to say the least when you don't know, like one turn here, especially at Dover, all of a sudden your race flips upside down and you might be seeing yourself behind the cut line. It's a lot of pressure tonight to stay in the running for that prize money.
Well, one of the very few guys that doesn't have any pressure on him tonight at all, that's Jovi Saguiped, and that's because he's already worked his way into the next round. But he was able to sit down with Aaron Gerwitz for matching wits with Gerwitz, and let's kind of hear what he has to say.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are here with another installment of Matching Wits with Gerwitz. This week we have the driver of the number three Toyota from RSR Racing, Joey Saguiped. How are you today, Joey?
Good. What about you, Gerwitz?
Just another day in upstate New York. But the question in everybody's mind is, how did you get involved with Roell Smith Racing, Jake Roell?
The funny part is, after that Darlington race where we went toe-to-toe, at that point, I was like, I need to be on his team and figure out what he's doing to be so quick. So one day, we're in a different league, and we're in the same Discord, and we're chatting. Next thing you know, the opportunity of like, hey, let's join forces and team up, and it happened. And my stats ever since I've joined the team have been consistently good, other than wiping out the field at Martinsville. Sorry to everyone. Really sorry.
You gotta expect that at Martinsville, the wheel spin on the green-white checkers, but your stats have gone up. You have 7 top 5s and 10 top 10 finishes, along with 2 wins and 2 poles. How did you accomplish those?
From the whole team at RSR, everyone giving me tips, insights on everything, and having the confidence, really. And I would say a little bit, I upgraded my wheel too, but a lot of confidence from the team and them helping me with everything week in, week out has helped a lot.
And it has been proven that your equipment doesn't always mean that you're going to be guaranteed wins, as we were shown by Timmy Hill running the old G920 wheel. And he went toe-to-toe with the best NASCAR drivers in the world and got a win.
Mm-hmm.
But no, you are currently second in the playoff standings going into Dover tonight. What is your game plan tonight?
Get another win, because it's been like a donation station from me for wins this year. Having 2, I feel like I should have had more, but I've been giving them away left and right, so I'm hoping to pull out a win tonight.
And what is your guys' team atmosphere like? I know you touched on it, but just give us a little insight on what you guys do to get prepared for the upcoming race week.
Usually it's a pretty laid back week. We'll practice here once in a while, but we'll play other games to keep ourselves calm, to get our minds off of things. But most of the time, it's just cool, fun vibes all the time, and especially when we start the race, everyone's laughing before the green goes off. And then once the green goes off, everyone changes their mindset straight into racing. And let's get good finishes for everyone for the team.
And that is definitely shown, as you guys are 3rd in the team standings. I'm not sure if you guys can climb anymore, but I'm sure you guys will give it a run. Mm-hmm. As you guys are, you guys are only about 100. No, you're less than 200, about 180, less than 180 points out. That's a big gap to make up in a short period of time. But I have faith that you guys can do it.
I think we could. Next couple of races, I think we should be able to.
All right, that is all the time we have. Thanks again for Jovi coming on to Matching Wits with Gerwitz tonight, guys.
Thank you for guys having me on.
Good luck tonight, Jovi.
Thank you.
Man, I got to tell you, Brandon, I love Jovi Saguiped. He is just one of those drivers that's just out there having a good time, and he's just really, really good at what he does.
He's such a chill guy for somebody that's right there at the top of the series and has been all season long. It's been cool watching him throughout the season. He's just been one of those guys that's consistently up there. Really like what he does on the track.
Yeah, a great guy, great driver. But, we've got all sorts of great drivers out there, and they're all competing for this money that's out there. So $40 for first place, $20 for second, third and fourth will each get their money back, which is $10 a piece. But that's just the small stuff. Then we get into the big season-long stuff.
Oh, a whole lot of money here, and something that maybe I'll get my eyes on here in the future, going from the Truck Series at some point. But first place this season, $500 if you win that championship race in Texas, or if you're the first finisher of the final 5 at Texas, I should say, winning that title, $500. Second place, $300. Third gets $200. Fourth, $150. Fifth, $100, and then that team championship for $200. You finish in the top 3. I mean, that alone, without even counting your individual race money, is paying off for the season in itself. Plus what you won in the races each week too. I mean, it's big money here in SRN.
Yeah, last season we gave out $5,000 in one league, and that was just the Xfinity League alone. This season we're giving out over $15,000 in prizes across the 3 series, and so man, just tons and tons of money out there, and that's what we love to do here. We love to race for fun, but we also love to race for money. That's the way to go. But not just money, we have prizes out there too. One of them sponsored by Butt Kicker, where if you are the cleanest driver in the league for the entire season, you will get a free Butt Kicker device that you can hook up to your seat, and it makes you feel like you're right in the car.
Yeah, that's one of those devices I don't have, but it's one that I do want to have, just to get that extra little. I know some of the drivers call it butt radar, where you can get that little bit extra of a feel. Kind of adds a little bit to the not just the atmosphere of everything, but just might help you drive a little bit on the track. So it could be something that's very useful. And if you don't win it here, you can always use that discount code on the bottom of the screen, SRNVS20, and you get 20% off on your order.
Absolutely. And another good thing that you can do if you really want to get better with driving is go out and get a driving coach. So Kane Cook Sim Coaching is out there. Now, Kane Cook is one of the drivers in the Coca-Cola series, which, if you don't know, is one of the biggest series out there, actually the biggest series out there on iRacing. This guy is actually a professional iRacing driver.
And one of the best out there. I know we talk about it a lot. He is known as a hard-charging driver, also known for one of the coolest paint schemes out there. I know I said that at Bristol, but man, I love that thing. But Kane, that I rating is 7,400 plus. I mean, you look at a good rating, a good benchmark is around that 2,000. Is kind of like, all right, you're pretty darn good at this iRacing thing. He's almost 4 times that number. Just tells you how good he is. I know a couple of guys that have worked with him. They found speed almost instantly. So definitely somebody to look at booking a session with if you want to work on your skill in iRacing.
Absolutely. One of the greatest guys out there to help you out. Now, some of these teams that we got to talk about here with the Tropical Smoothie Cafe Team Championship, eat better, feel better, and some of these guys, man, they are out there just driving the wheels off this thing. Bronco Motorsports with 4 wins, 1,800 points. They are way out in front, but Tank Racing has actually been gaining over the past couple of weeks.
Yeah, and this points race on the team side is almost as tight as it is on the individual side. And it's far from over on the teams. We still have those 5 races left, including tonight. 200 points separating the top 3. That's definitely something that can be closed in a hurry if you're Roell Smith Racing or Tank Racing to try to catch Bronco. There's still plenty of time left, especially with a track like this and a track with what we're going to next week in Austin.
Oh, definitely. And so we not only have the team championship, which we talked about a little bit earlier as far as the prize money and that, but even if you're not able to make it into the playoffs, either because you just had a bad year or you came into the league late or whatever it is, Flavor Bomb has come forward and gotten us together the second tier playoff standings. So, hey, go to Flavor Bomb, go to their website, fbbbq.com. The Moab seasoning is fantastic. If you want to take your grilling to the next level, go to Flavor Bomb and get that seasoning. It's wonderful. But Danny Dow and Troy Teichmeyer up there towards the top, and they're going to be duking it out here tonight as well.
Yeah, and another tight points race here in the Xfinity Series. Only 10 points separating the top 6. Plenty to race for here for the guys in the second tier standings.
Wait, did you say tight point races? Let's talk about the playoff standings because Rhett Tucker, Jovi, Saguiped, they're in. But after them, everything tightens up. In fact, we've got everybody from Ryan Ducallum down there in the 14th spot all the way up to Mike Picci are all within 10 points of the cut line. And so 10 drivers within 10 points of the cut line, anything can happen. And then here we are at the Monster Mile where the Monster is going to reach out and get some people.
Man, last night I was 14 points clear entering the race, and I was a bit of a nervous wreck. I don't know how it'd feel being 10 points. But the good news is if you are somebody like Michael Picci, Mike Lepicki, you're 10 points ahead, but you also got a lot of drivers between you in that cut line. That's something that might help. But if you're Aaron Gerwitz, 1 point clear, Nathaniel Mann 1 point back. They're going to be gunning for it tonight. It's going to be interesting to see how they try to make their way into the second round.
Yeah, we're going to introduce everybody to each one of these drivers really quickly here, and we'll start off with the points leader right now, Rhett Tucker. And now Rhett, he's got 3 regular season wins, 1 playoff win, so 4 wins this season, including last race at Kansas. And so he's completely safe here tonight as long as he just starts the race, which I do see him out there, so he will get enough points to get in. But I don't think that that's going to make him go to the back of the pack. He's got 7 top 5s, 8 top 10s. Rhett Tucker doesn't know how to be at the back of the pack.
Hey, still money on the line, too. You might as well go for it when you know that you're safe. And somebody else that's safe, Jovi Saguiped, heard from him a little bit earlier on Matching Wits with Gerwitz. 2 wins this season, including at Talladega a couple races ago. He had a second place last week in Kansas. So, I mean, he's almost done. Had a perfect playoff run thus far. See if he can continue that tonight.
Oh, definitely. And then you got Greg Joyner here. And Greg doesn't have a win on this season, but he does lead the league in top 10 finishes with 12. 12, Brandon, out of 15 races. That is how consistent he is. But he doesn't even need a top 10 to advance tonight. All he needs is a top 14. So I feel like he's pretty safe, but he should probably just try to avoid the bad spots early.
Man, Greg Joyner, I feel you with all the top 10s and no wins. It's pretty much the story of my season in the trucks. But next up, we got Zachary Taylor, 3 wins this season. But he's still got some work to do here as he's only 14 points clear of the cut line. Got hampered a bit by a 24th place finish in Kansas last week. But those 3 wins, obviously somebody that you can look up towards the front of the field here tonight.
Definitely. And Mike Picci up next. Mike's kind of in familiar territory here, so he's up in the upper echelon of the league because he's consistent and he stays out of trouble. And he'll need to do that again here tonight. He needs 7th place or better to automatically get in. But something tells me that he'll be paying close enough attention to the people around him that he'll get the finish that he needs.
Yeah, and seeing if he can back up a solid performance last night from Walt Lipicki, too. As next up, we have in the 13, Bo Tiffany, always near in the front to mid-pack. Might be all he needs to do tonight as he tries to conserve this points position. But he only has 1 top 5, but 8 top 10s on the season, so he does know how to finish in a strong spot. Hopefully he'll get that tonight and lock himself into round 2.
Definitely. And now Marshall Stanley. Marshall is this guy that he is just begging to get to next week, because next week we go to the Circuit of the Americas, where he is sure to be one of the favorites of that race. But in order to get there, he's going to have to keep the car clean here tonight. But the good news is that keeping cars clean is Rev Racing's specialty. So I'm betting on him to make it in.
Definitely has a good shot. Next up, Devin Zimmerman, a driver that does just enough to keep surviving in these things, and got to race with him in the All-Star race. Good guy. For him tonight, though, that means he's going to have to be patient, while others might be wrecking around him. And if he is patient like that, he has pulled off plenty of top 10s. He's got 8 of them on the season, could get number 9 tonight.
Definitely. And Dylan Patterson, to guarantee a spot, Dylan has to win the race outright tonight. But to creep in, he just has to stay ahead of the guys that are below him on this list. So my suggestion is to look out the front of your windshield instead of the back of your windshield, because you can only focus on what you can control, Brandon.
Absolutely. And next up, Aaron Gerwitz, heard from him earlier as well in his segment. Always a dark horse to win any race that he is in. It just has not happened yet. But he does have 4 top 5s this season, 6 top 10s, always has a chance, and that's all he needs tonight, being 1 point clear.
Next up, we got Nathaniel Mon. And so we said in the draft broadcast that Nathaniel's one of those drivers that you just don't even remember was on the track with you, but that's not a bad thing. That's a good thing. He stays out of trouble. He gets his top 15 finish. He's just nice and consistent and comes in, does his job, and leaves. He's going to need something a little bit more than top 15 here tonight. But again, if he just kind of silently works his way through the pack, he could get that.
Sure can. And somebody else that, honestly, this is a bit of a surprise seeing him below the cut line, but needs a big night, is Daniel Baudler. Second most wins in Speed Racing Network history. And I mean, if you're going to count on somebody to get a win in this race, it might be him. He does need one to guarantee a spot into round 2. But if he doesn't win, a top 5 would go a long, long way for him.
Absolutely it would. And Josh Marcy, he's on the outside looking in by 7 points. And while 7 points doesn't sound like a lot, when you've got 23 guys on the track, it's a lot more than what you think it is. So he'll need something really, really big here tonight and some help from the others. But he's got a good team out there around him with Roell Smith Racing. He's got some good quality drivers there that can show him where to go on the track. He's got a good spotter out there. I think Jake Roell is going to be spotting for him here tonight. So, we'll have to see.
Yeah, another driver that's going to need a pretty big night here is Ryan Ducallum, entering 9 points back, but he is one of those drivers that can win a race at any real point and kind of throw a grenade into the standings here, so be on the lookout for him to make it exciting.
And finally, we have Emerson Ardon. Now, Emerson is at the back of the pack right now, but he's kind of been in this position before, in the All-Star race, and you kind of told me about this off camera, but in the All-Star race, he was 2 laps down when we started that race, basically, and he actually finished really, really well in spite of that. So don't ever count out Emerson Ardon. You just never know when he is going to make it to where he needs to be.
Yeah, and that was a very patient performance from him at Indy, and he might need that tonight on a track like Dover, and could play out well for him.
Yeah, now let's get out there on the track. Qualifying is done. Up front, Nick Gowen, who missed the playoffs just by a couple of points, but he is up there up front for Bronco Motorsports, and then Stan Houseman for Team SRN on the outside pole. So a couple of guys not even in our playoffs right now, but they are up front.
Yeah, and Nick Gowen also the fastest in practice before we started, so that might be a sign here that this could be a good night for the 88. Dylan Patterson starting in 3rd for R&D Motorsports. Bronco Motorsports with Gregory Joyner starting in 4th. Josh Marcy and Jovi Saguiped in row number 3.
Yep, then you got Nathaniel Mon, who, again, needs a good finish here tonight, back there in 7th. Rhett Tucker, who he's safe, but like I said, he's not going to stay back in the back. He's up in 8th. Zach Taylor for Tank Racing in 9th.
Yeah, and rounding out the top 10 to start, still within a 1/10 of a second of the pole is Daniel Baudler in the R&D Motorsports car. Dustin Scruggs for Roell Smith Racing in 11th. And rounding out row 6 is Devin Zimmerman, one of those drivers needing a night to stay in the top 10 going to Dakota. He'll be in 12th.
Well, man, we are going to have a night here tonight. These 150 laps, they will tick off awfully quickly here tonight. And I expect to see at least a little bit of green flag racing out there.
Yeah, I mean, if the race last night was any indication, it is possible to get some of those runs. We started it with, I want to say, about a 15-lap run, all green, and ended it with about 25, 30 laps green, which, man, my teammate Jose almost made good use of that. Michael Madden got the win. But, yeah, so there is definitely the potential to kind of string this out. We got 23 cars in the field, so there's going to be a little bit more space than we had last night, too. So it's definitely possible to kind of see some long runs here and really click away those laps in a hurry.
Yeah, you can see we got everybody out there on the track. We'll run around this track one time really quickly, and then we are going to go crazy out here. And Nick Gowen is going to take us to the start.
Yeah, fastest in practice, fastest in qualifying. We'll see if he is the fastest in the race as well and pull off that hat trick.
But we got Stan Houseman there on the outside in the Tropical Smoothie Cafe car. So once again, Tropical Smoothie Cafe, the sponsors for our team championship. Eat better, feel better. And he's feeling pretty good there on the outside pole. And so we're going to come up to the green flag, and Nick Gowen is going to get that start, and we will be underway right now as Nick Gowen pushes down that loud pedal and takes off.
He got a nice jump, pulling a good car length away, and he's pulling Dylan Patterson with him. And that's a good spot for Dylan, who came into ninth, only 2 points clear. You want to get out in front early and avoid some of that chaos. You see a whole bunch of swerving going on back there in around the top 10.
Yeah, we're going to see a lot of swerving all night long tonight. It is basically what we found out with the trucks last night is coming off of turn 4. If you're right up next to the wall, just be prepared because you're going to come right down the track.
Oh, yeah, I had that issue a little bit there, too. And
I wasn't going to say anything.
Yeah, I kind of got a little bit into the wall there, and that wall is like a vacuum out of turn 2 and turn 4. Like, you want to kind of ramp up almost like a jump when you come out of that banking. And if you're near the wall, it's just going to suck you in, and it's almost like a magnet.
Yeah, and it looks like people are kind of getting lined out pretty quickly here, so we're almost single file all the way around the track. Back a little ways, we got Daniel Baudler, who, all right, now they get all lined up. So I think we're going to be pretty safe here tonight.
Yeah, and that's smart. I mean, you got a lot of drivers that, yeah, they do need a big night, but you got to finish the race to have a big night. And with that one fast repair, you do have a little bit of leeway, but you can't take that risk, especially this early. So it's good to see a lot of patience here, at least for the first maybe quarter of this race, and then start getting into that rhythm.
Yeah, I'm going to key on somebody right now. That's Greg Olenek So he's been practicing here at Dover all week long. He's got multiple wins in races on iRacing this week at Dover. So he knows this track really well. This is his home. And so he is loving this.
Yeah, and the interesting thing, too, with the fixed distance for those official races, I mean, you're looking at, I want to say it's 60, 70 laps for the B cars that we're running here with the Xfinity series. So it's interesting to see if he can carry that over when you get multiple long runs into this. Like, we're going to be stopping at least 2 or 3 times, depending on how aggressive you want to be on a tire strategy, if not more. You start seeing cautions. After about 10 laps or so, you definitely want to start thinking about coming in. So it'll be interesting to see how that strategy translates from the official races to this longer format.
And so for those that are watching the race on YouTube or on Facebook, on the left side of your screen, you'll see your scoring tower there. If they are in green, that means they are in the playoffs, in the top part of the playoffs. If they're in red, then that means that they have to work their way into that top 10. And so just kind of be able to look out there. But you can see Dylan Patterson in second, and we said in order to guarantee himself a spot in the top 10, he has to win here tonight. He's pushing for it. He's in second.
And that's really a trend that started last week, finishing third at Kansas after that 21st at Talladega. Maybe trying to ride that momentum that he had from the Midwest race here over to Dover tonight. That's a huge comeback if he can keep this finish going and get through this one in second, lock himself in. Be a heck of a way to rebound from a 21st.
One of the fan favorites in this race, Rhett Tucker, back here in 8th place right now. So he's got his entire team from the Truck Series out there rooting for him for Bronco Motorsports. And again, Rhett's already locked in, but definitely lots of fans out here to watch Rhett tonight.
A lot of the time, everybody loves a winner. He's leading the series in wins with 4. Obviously, leading the point standings as well. He's through to Austin next week to start round 2. It's a pretty good feeling. I know tonight I'm a lot more relaxed than I was last night. Wish I was locked in going into that one, but once you know that you're through, you got a lot less pressure. You can just go out there and don't want to go out there and maybe mess with somebody's night that's pushing things a little bit and needing to get a good performance, but you know you can go out there and just let it rip.
Yeah, now Stan Houseman started on the outside pole. He has dropped all the way back to 11th position right now, just kind of biding his time. But right in front of him, Dustin Scruggs and Daniel Baudler. So Baudler, again, last night he was our pit reporter, and he was telling us that he is just not that good here at Dover. He's going to have to be good here tonight.
Yeah, he definitely has to be good. I mean, I'm surprised to see him on the outside looking in, 6 points back for Daniel. But that's something that he can make up. But at the 17th and the 25th, not really helping him in the first 2 legs of this 3-leg round of the playoffs. But that's definitely somebody, like we said earlier, can win at any point. Might need to do it tonight.
Yeah, we've got some side-by-side racing back here with Danny Dow, who is at the top of our second-tier playoffs list, and then Emerson Ardon, who desperately needs a huge finish here tonight. And so I know Emerson, his style of racing is just be patient, let others wreck around you. And he's done really well at keeping that car clean, but tonight he is going to have to do something a little different.
Yeah, honestly, he's going to have to win, and he's really going to need some help, too. You got 23 cars in the field. So you're not going to be getting the full opportunity to gain 40, 44 points if you max out the bonus points. He's going to have to win, max out those points, and hope that there's some drivers that have some misfortune and finish near the back. But to do that, he's got to get up front, and that patient strategy works at a lot of the places, a lot of the time, but it might not be the best thing tonight.
Not a lot of movement out there on the track right now. I know Dustin Scruggs is up 3 spots. Zach Taylor is up 3 spots. But nobody has really moved a ton of spots so far. But Nick Gowen has led every single lap, and he is starting to pull away a little bit, 0.6 of a second lead.
Yeah, he's been very consistent. Dylan Patterson has not been far from him, but I think once we kind of pass that 10-lap span, that gap has kind of increased a little bit there for Nick, and he's really showing that he doesn't have just that short-term speed that some could look at when you see the practice score sheet, the qualifying score sheet. He is showing that he does have this long-run speed as well. Interesting to see if he can keep that going for the second half of this tire run.
back a little ways. We got Daniel Baudler making a move now on Rhett Tucker. Getting down to, oh, Stan Hausman is up in the wall.
And I think that's the second time Stan has caught the wall. He did have a pretty heavy drop-off about 5-6 laps ago. But Baudler does make that pass on Tucker, and Tucker might be kind of just knowing, you know what, I don't need this one. I'm not going to put myself in a bad position or anybody else in a bad position, but that was still a very clean pass from Daniel.
And up front, we're going for a pass for the lead here. Dylan Patterson taking that lead. Whoa, we got a caution.
Yep, we got trouble in turn 3. Did not catch who it was. Just saw a bunch of smoke. And, yeah, Zachary Taylor. And that's a troublesome position for him. 14 points clear in the 14 car. And he's going to be seeing himself in the back of the pack.
Yeah, we are going to have to figure out what happened with him. Oh, and it looks like we might have almost gone 3 wide. We got a little bit of stuff going on. So up in front, we actually had a car up in the wall already as Jovi Saguiped and Zach Taylor came through at the same time. And so I'm not sure exactly, was that, yeah, that was Greg Joyner. So 3 of our playoff drivers involved in that.
Not just 3 of the playoff drivers, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th in points all in that one. Jovi, probably the only one that's not really stressing at this point, but man, that's a wild one. I'm not sure what happened there to Gregory that kind of started that. It looked like he just maybe caught the wall and tried to come off it. And I was saying earlier, it's kind of like a magnet that just hangs onto you. You kind of have to kind of get away from that wall a little bit quick, and that's exactly what that looks like, where he tried to come off the wall and it just kind of jolted him over, and just kind of wrong place, wrong time for everybody else involved.
Yeah, Greg Olenek involved in that as well in the Broom Brew car, and man, hate to see that because number one, love his paint scheme and everything, but man, he has just had the worst luck this season.
Yeah, and there's nothing he could do there. That's just a rough spot, really, for everybody involved in that one. For Jovi and Zachary as well. It's just one of those things. Dover, everything happens quickly. It's not as quick as like a Bristol, but it is pretty instantaneous. When something happens in front of you, you're going to be on it in a hurry.
Well, Zachary Taylor comes in, uses that fast repair, so he's got that clean car now. Now we got about 19 laps in there under green. What did you see out there, Brandon?
I saw that the 88 is fast. I saw that the 8 might actually have the best long run performance based on that first run. So if I'm going, I'm thinking, all right, what can I do to change this a little bit if we do continue to have these long runs? I do suspect that we will see some long runs the rest of the way based on that first stint that we just had. So if I'm him, I'm thinking, all right, do I need to nurse the throttle a little bit more? Do I need to maybe just kind of drag the brake just a little bit to try to take some of the tension off that right front? What do I need to do to extend the life of that right front? Because he saw that 8 make that charge around 20 laps in, so he knows that second half of the tire wear, Patterson might have his number.
Yeah, and so if this thing goes green, and I know a lot of these guys have been practicing on long green flag runs because they felt like even though it's a short track and we haven't had much luck on short tracks this season, this short track's a little bit different than most where there's room to race.
Yeah, it's weird because you can kind of say, all right, Phoenix is technically a short track, it's a mile. Dover's technically a short track, it's a mile. But they're anything but a short track, but they're almost exactly like a short track. They are just enigmas. And with Dover, everything does happen so fast. Again, just like this caution. That was a quick caution. We're getting ready to go back. I'll wait to finish my point.
Well, while we're waiting on you to finish the point, we got Nick going once again with the green flag. And he takes off and he leaves everybody behind. Dylan Patterson will tuck in second there, but we're going to have a race here with Nathaniel Bond and Josh Marcy for third place.
That's big for point implications as well. Saw Scruggs get knocked off line just a little bit, and he's going to lose a few positions there. But Nathaniel Mon, 1 point out coming into this race, moving into third place. That is a big pickup for the 84.
Yeah, and I believe that's Devin Zimmerman on the inside. That's a little bit of a different paint scheme than we've seen from Devin Zimmerman.
Yeah, used to seeing that the Air Force colors there, the Air Force style car. But now we know what to look for here for Devin. It looks like he might be having the same issue I had with Trading Paints a couple weeks ago, where the numbers just don't want to show up. Scruggs hard into the outside wall.
He gets it straightened back out, but he's going to lose a few more spots here. But going up towards the front again, so Rhett Tucker, Josh Marcy are about to have it out. Rhett Tucker gets down to the inside, and he will get that position away from Josh Marcy, and Daniel Baudler going to follow him right through.
Man, that's a tough position there if you're Marcy. Yeah, you're up front. Yes, it's still early and you got a lot of time, but you got to be thinking about, man, I got to start blocking, holding on to as many positions as I can. It's real easy to get freight trained here if you get stuck on the outside, especially early on a run. You can hold the outside, but you're still kind of getting that heat in the tires, still trying to get everything set up for you. If somebody gets on the inside of you early, they can just power through.
And now up a little bit further, we got Nathaniel Mond, we got Rhett Tucker side by side, a couple teammates here, and Rhett Tucker's going to take that position away. Rhett Tucker is now in the top 3.
That's something that early in the race, Rhett obviously with the faster car. If it was later in the race, I'm not so sure if he's going to make that pass on his teammate, seeing as how the 81 is locked in. The 84 needs all the help he can get being a point out. Think if we're 100 laps later than this point, I think Tucker might be a little bit more patient there and maybe help him out.
Let's jump back to 12th position, where we're going to find Ryan Ducallum. We haven't talked about him yet this race at all, but he is on the outside looking in currently in the standings, and so he needs something big, and he is up 9 positions from the start. He started off in 22nd. He's up to 13th now.
Yeah, and that's the kind of night he's going to need. Just keep chipping away as many points as he can and gain as many points as he can. 9 points out. It's been a bit of a struggle here in round 1. He can close out with a bang, maybe get a top 3. He's got a shot.
We're about to have some tight racing here as Greg Olenek obviously came in and got his fast repair from that earlier wreck. And now he's not waiting anymore. He is up in 8th position and working his way forward. But right behind him, he's got Daniel Dow, who Danny is in first place in that second tier playoffs. So he's not going to let up either.
Man, there was close racing there with the 21 and the 11. It looked like the 11 of Scruggs wanting to take that peek onto the inside of Dow and just kind of thought better of it. Maybe there's a little bit of tightness there where Dow might have come down a little bit. Decided not to make that chance. But, man, this is close racing here between these 6, all pretty much under a blanket.
Yeah, Josh Marcy again up on that outside, getting caught up there as Greg Olenek and Danny Dow both come through that hole. Oh, whoa! We got a little bit. That was definitely netcode. They did not touch at all, but they both got a little squirrely there, but kept it straight and kept on going.
Man, iRacing netcode thought the same thing I was thinking when he made that turn away from the wall. I was thinking, oh, don't make that contact, and iRacing thought, oh, he's got to make that contact, and threw that netcode out there. But nice save by both of them, and that's very big for both because Marcy, he's trying to make his way into round 2, 13th in points, but Danny Dow, like you mentioned, leading the Tier 2 standings.
Yeah, now up front, Dylan Patterson starting to reel in Nick Gowen once again, and so he's going to be right up on his bumper here, and it looks like he kind of checked up a little bit there, didn't want to make the pass just yet. Oh!
Yeah, wow, they're getting loose going into 1, but I'm really impressed by Patterson. You know, he wasn't in the top 5 in practice. He did start 3rd, so he definitely had some speed, but it looks like as the night has gone on, not just the race, but the entire night with all sessions, looks like he's starting to figure out a groove more and more around this track.
Yeah, and as he figures that out, and you got to remember, Nick Gowen has nothing to race for playoff-wise here tonight, with the exception of the second-tier playoffs that's brought to you by Flavor Bomb. But at the same time, he wants that first win. He wants people to understand exactly who he is, especially as we are heading towards season number 2 of Speed Racing Network.
Yeah, and he came so close to that first win. The last time I was in the booth at Bristol, hopefully I'm not some bad luck curse for him, but yeah, he had a very impressive showing there. Definitely caught my eye in that race. Hopefully he can, if he does hit in that position again, hopefully it goes better for him, for his sake. But now we got the inside pass here. Dylan Patterson trying to do what he did right before the caution came out about 15 laps ago. Nice side-by-side racing. A lot of respect here as they try to go into 1 side-by-side. Still a little bit of space. Man, nice run on the outside for Gowen to try to hang on to it. This is fantastic.
Absolutely great racing, but Dylan Patterson's finally going to get the better of him, and he's going to start moving towards the front. Again, Dylan needs this win desperately to be sure that he makes it into the next round, so he doesn't want to leave any doubt at all.
Yeah, win and in for him. He can make it without the win, but obviously make it a whole lot better if you get it. And the nice thing for these two as well, they had that side-by-side for about a lap and a half, and Nathaniel Mon in third, still 2 seconds away, so they didn't really impede each other a whole lot, bringing the rest of the field closer to them, and they can continue to pull away from third and kind of have their own little race here.
You know, while we were watching that race for the lead, Daniel Baudler has moved up into fourth position, and now he is knocking on the door of the top three.
And we've been saying it. That's somebody that can win at any point. Second most wins in SRN history. Might need it tonight, and he is putting on a show, making his way from the front, making his way to the front from starting in 10th. He's just been chipping away. Looks like every 5 laps or so he's making a pass for another position.
Yeah, and he is on his way up there, but look at Devin Zimmerman right behind him. Now, these two, they've had some history on the track before. They've done some little bumping and banging out there on the track. But right now, being extremely respectful of each other, there is playoffs on the line, so they just want to be completely clean here, and if they both make it in, great. If not, they just want to settle it on the track itself.
Yeah, and it's a fine line you got to ride to. Yes, you do want to be aggressive, but you don't want to be so aggressive that maybe you move somebody out of the way, but then they might move directly into your way, and it might ruin your night trying to be overly aggressive. So you kind of have to ride that balance. It's tough to find. I felt personally yesterday, Zimmerman almost into the wall there. Personally yesterday, I felt maybe I was a little too conservative. It worked out, but there is that point for aggression. If they decide to use it, hopefully they use it smart. It doesn't affect themselves should they try it.
Yeah, but even if you get aggressive, 110 laps away from the finish is not the time to do that.
Absolutely.
You know, because you're going to make enemies for the rest of the race, and really towards the end of the race, you need those friends.
Yeah, and that's something that a lot of people talk about when you look at the big picture of the course of the season. You don't want to be pushing somebody around on lap 1 or 2. And then just getting that reputation, and maybe you won't have anybody to work with once you get to the playoffs. You kind of want to save that for when you need to do it. And it's very much the same here.
Yellow
they
flag.
got the smoke and caution coming out on the backstretch.
That's Bo Tiffany in the 13, and you got Dustin Scruggs down there. And again, Scruggs was up in the wall a couple times during that stint. Let's go back and find out exactly what happened there, because that looked bad.
Yeah, that's some significantly heavy damage as we get the Sandwich Man Racing Sports Memorabilia Rec replay. I got pretty good at saying that at Bristol with about 20 cautions, but yeah, we'll see what happens here as that was significant damage, and there's a good amount of chatter going in the race chat too.
Yeah, it looks like Bo kind of got down to the inside. Oh, and Michael Picci involved in that too. I did not see that. Josh Marcy also involved, so 3 of our playoff drivers involved, and it looks like Dustin Scruggs trying to get through there.
Yeah, that first glance, I want to say that the 13, yeah, he's inside. Hard to tell from that angle if he was all the way on the bottom.
Oh, that's the yellow flag. Let's...
Yeah, I'd say 13 on the bottom. 11 kind of came down a little bit more than the room allowed. I'm not going to say that's anything horrible of any driver. You're just going for the spot, going to try to block. It might have been a little bit of a late block, or maybe he was just trying to hang on to it and it came down to the inside. But that's definitely just one of those racing deals, and just 2 drivers trying to go for the same line at the same time.
Yeah, Mike Lepicki just minding his business up on the top side, and he gets involved in that as well. So again, another one of our playoff drivers that could really use a good finish. Mike is in a better position than most out there on the track right now, but could still use a good finish here tonight.
Yeah, and same thing for Bo. 5 points out for 5 points clear for Bo. 11 points clear for Mike. So that's definitely going to be that's going to be tight for both of them, but still plenty of time to make their way back through the field.
Yeah, and we're going to keep an eye out because I think that Bo Tiffany just went a lap down, and I believe he did. So he is going to need to get some work done here tonight. But at the same time, since he's the only one a lap down on the next caution, he should be able to get that lap back.
Yeah, his hope is going to be that there is a pretty quick caution, that we're not going to have another long run. If there's a long run, you might see somebody else put a lap down. But if we get something here in the next 15 laps or so, should be safe, where he can make his way back around and get back out there. But then he's going to be off sequence a little bit. It's going to be tougher. He kind of throwing off the race, so it's always hard when you get that lap down, but still a lot of time at least.
Under our second caution here tonight. And so the first caution was at about lap 18, second caution around lap 42. So we are getting some decent green flag racing in here, and we'll see if we can get a longer stint this time around. But again, Dylan Patterson and Nick Goen both up front here, just like they've been the entire race. And so they're going to do some battle again.
If it's anything like we saw in that last stint, I'm excited. I like how these two have been racing each other for the first third of this race.
And Nick Goen takes off once again. He gets that position. That's the same thing we've seen in the start of the race and the first restart as well. So he gets out front, and then Dylan starts to pull him right back in.
Yeah, and that's a nice benefit to be the leader. It's always good to be the one that controls the restart, but it's almost more important here at Dover because you know when you're going to go. Guy on the outside or on the inside, if the leader chooses to take the outside, doesn't. And with this concrete on the fresh tires, it's real nerve-wracking to just slam the throttle down and try to make up some of that gap. So the leader has a huge advantage here at Dover just because you don't want to get that tire spin and get yourself in trouble if you're the one responding to the leader going.
Just kind of going back through the pack here, Jovi was involved in that first incident, and so he's back here in 13th position. So still has a relatively clean car right now. So he's got the opportunity to move up, but he's got 12 guys in front of him that want it just as badly.
Yeah, and it's interesting to see how he wants to handle this race. He's in the mid-pack. His thought's going to be, I'm safe. Do I want to go for the win, or do I want to just sit here and make sure I don't get caught up with somebody else? That's one of those guilty conscience kind of things. For a lot of drivers, might be thinking about that. Like, I don't want to ruin somebody else's night that needs a big night. So be curious to see how he handles the last 100 laps.
And here we go once again, Nick Goen and Dylan Patterson. Dylan starting to catch him, and it's just a matter of time before he makes that move to the inside.
Yeah, and for the first 50 laps, for much of them, I would say that Goen was probably the favorite in this race, but the way that 8 is moving, he might be the one to watch here in this last 2/3 of this race at Dover. He's just been very smooth. He's gotten better as the race has gone on, and at first I thought he might just be better on the long runs, but he's looking pretty good on the short. We got a big wreck out of
Zach
4.
Taylor. Zach Taylor involved, Ryan Ducallum involved, Emerson Ardon involved, Michael Picci involved. But that is Zach Taylor's second incident there, so he might not have a fast repair left.
And I don't believe he is rolling yet. And if that's it, that is a night ender for somebody only 14 points clear.
Oh, this is going to get awfully interesting here, as it looks like Greg Olenek kind of got down to his inside and maybe just gave him a little bit of a tap. Danny Dow involved in that as well for that second-tier playoffs, and then Ryan Ducallum, just wrong place, wrong time. Same thing with Lipicki and Emerson.
And that's a couple significant hits there for the 14. The 7 got pretty decent contact there as well. Hopefully for the 14's sake, he can keep going, but he did take a couple hard shots. That's a hard shot for Lipicki as well to the front of the car. Believe he just used one of those fast repairs, so that's a dangerous spot for him as well. You can see Ardon using his fast repair, so he's good to go. But still some damage there for the 46 as he was getting jacked up. So he's going to be trying to get that repair taken care of on the fly, as he already used that fast repair. This is a huge point implication caution, and it just looked like maybe the 31 got a little bit tight. At the wrong point, middle of that turn, you do get a little bit loose, especially early in a run, so the slightest contact will send a car around like we just saw.
You know what, let's see if we can't get Dylan Patterson up here in the booth with us and see what he's thinking about this race. Hey, Dylan, this is Sean and Brandon up in the booth, man. How's it going?
I'm good.
Good, man. See you out front out here. It's good to see that bright green car out there in the lead. What is your strategy for the rest of this race?
Save the tires. Save the tires. That's about it. I'm hoping we get maybe 15 green laps here and then another yellow. If it goes green again, I might be in trouble with those guys. Like 5 stayed out, so I might be in trouble here unless they burn off their tires trying to get through the field. So we'll see.
Yeah, and that was something I was watching a lot during that first stint. It looked like you had a really good long-run car over that first 20 laps or so, but it seems like since then you've been just as strong on the short run. Was it something that you just figured out, or is it just a pacing thing where it just started feeling good and you were just thinking I can reel them in a little bit earlier?
That first run I was super conservative early, so I was driving slightly harder that last one. But even still, the long run, I feel great about it. This is my favorite track and car combo, so I love this place.
Awesome, man. Well, great job so far. Keep it up, and hopefully we'll be speaking to you at the end of the race.
All right, I called the win last week, so
get after it, buddy. Have a good one.
Thank you.
Dylan Patterson, once again, I mean, just needs that good race here this week.
Yeah, and I mean he's been solid. Kansas was good with that third place. He said call the win last week. He might be the guy to watch for the win this week. He has been very, very strong, just getting better as those first 50 laps went. Looks like he's going to be taking the inside here on this restart. I do not blame him. Not a whole lot of benefit starting on the outside if you're the leader.
Yeah, and I'm looking down the pack right now, and Michael Picci is going to be a lap down. Same thing with his teammate, Zach Taylor. Zach Taylor's car looks a little bit better than Mike's does. But, yeah, he's in a world of trouble back here because, I mean, he doesn't necessarily need the best finish. He just needs to finish. So right now it's just a matter of just keep it clean, and you'll make it through.
Yeah, and it's the big key there is keep it clean at this point because we're seeing probably a third of the field has already used the fast repair. So you start seeing more cautions. A lot of the field is going to start dropping out of this race if we have any significant impacts. So for those two, they're in similar positions, only 3 points apart from each other. That is the big deal. Just stay clean. And to kind of update what we were talking about the last caution, Bo Tiffany did get the lucky dog, did have that quick caution come out, so he's going to be in 21st, but on the lead lap again.
Yeah, and Bo could, I mean, all these guys, like I said, there's 10 guys within 10 points of the cut, so we will try as soon as this race is over to get the point standings as quickly as possible for you, so that way we can figure out exactly who is going to move on to the next round.
Dylan Patterson, like we were saying with Goen, it is huge to start out front here at Dover, and he got a good 2 or 3 car length jump on Baudler. Nathaniel Mon in third, Rhett Tucker fourth, and Williams in fifth. Look at all the Bronco cars, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth. But it is Dylan Patterson leading the way as we come back around to the line out of turn 4, and he looks so strong as this race has gone on.
Yeah, Daniel Baudler trying to track him down. And I got to tell you, I love Daniel Baudler because he sat there last night and said, I'm just not good at this track. I'm terrible at this track. And here he is in second place. So, you know, I'm going to stop trusting Daniel Baudler.
It's a thing. It's a driver thing for sure. At least that's something I can relate to. I think about half the races this year I've said, I'm horrible at this track. Why am I so slow? Saying stuff like that in team chat, and then you wind up like top 10, and you're just like, all right, yeah, it wasn't so bad.
Well, you can see Josh Marson making the pass on Jovi Saguiped, his teammate. And so he is going to move up into 8th position as Jovi falls back to 9th. And right now in the top 10, 8 of those top 10 are playoff drivers. So, again, going to be really interesting when we get to the finals.
Yeah, and out of those top 10, he said 8 of them are in the playoffs. 3 of them are drivers that are on the outside looking in. So this is going to be real interesting, especially for the 6 and the 84s. They're riding up near the front. Do they want to make that charge? Yes, it's still pretty early, but do you want to start abusing those tires a little bit, trying to reel in, maybe get one of those laps led so you can pick up a bonus point, which is going to be very important in a race this tight.
Yeah, Rhett Tucker takes second position away from Daniel Baudler. And so Daniel will just kind of bide his time back there in third. But Rhett Tucker, our leader in wins and our leader in points, up to second. He wants that 5th win. 5
wins in a season at this point. It ain't that long into the season. in terms of the number of races, but that is an impressive mark, and it is an impressive run he just had on the inside of Dylan Patterson, and this is really the first time we're seeing anybody challenge either the 8 or the 88 tonight, and Rhett Tucker, man, this is a good race and side-by-side for a full lap, and he'll make that pass, and the points leader will take the lead here at Dover.
Man, a huge couple of laps for him. He was just back in third. Now he's up in first, and it doesn't look like he is slowing down at all. He is just going with reckless aggression out there on the track, and it's working for him.
Yeah, not sure if he figured something out on the track in the last couple of runs, or if he just decided, you know what, we got trouble.
Oh, big trouble. That's Brad Williams spinning on the track, another Bronco Motorsports driver.
And he was up there in 5th or 6th before this happened, so this is something that it's impressive that only one car seems to be involved in front of pretty much the entire field.
And I believe he's going to get tangled up with Josh Marcy here. Let's find out.
Good old Sandwich Man Racing Sports Memorabilia with another wreck replay, their 4th caution of the night. And yeah, it looks just the same like we saw with the last caution, just kind of pushing up a little bit. Ooh, 39, Stan Hausman got in that as well. But it was just a little push up there from the 35 and just barely caught the 89. And yeah, it doesn't take much. That's the point of the track where you are at the lightest, it feels like. And yeah, easy to get turned around.
Yeah, a couple of tank drivers involved in that as well. Oh, and it didn't look like Joshua actually even hit him. Did you see that netcode there?
Yeah, I would definitely say netcode. We had a couple other cars come in behind that. I think that was Devin Zimmerman. Yeah, and that's a netcode.
Just a little bit here, and you'll see. I don't think they touch at all.
Yeah, and that is frustrating. And you can see they're still a good foot apart, few inches apart.
Oh,
yeah, there's no contact there. And it's frustrating. Like, yeah, it still stinks. You still get the result of getting involved in an accident. But technically, you did everything right. They did stay off each other. Did look like the 35 was pushing up the track, but it looked like he was getting back under control as well. Just one of those iRacing things where the system thinks that contact's going to happen, and it predicts it's going to happen, and it forces it. And it's just a thing that no driver really likes.
Yeah, and the worst part about that, Emerson Ardon was involved in that. He'd already used his fast repair, and so he got into the pits, did about 50 seconds worth of repairs, but that is just not nearly enough right now. But he wants to stay on the lead lap, so he comes on out, and he's going to hope for another really fast caution here.
That's a tough position. You got to start thinking, all right, do I want to think long term? Do I want to get this car entirely fixed up and running well, or do I want to risk it and try to stay on the lead lap and just keep going back and forth into the pits, doing what I can at off and on with repairs? The big gamble with that, he obviously had some front end damage. Is the engine damaged as well, and will that hang on for the final 86 laps?
Yeah, and right now, I mean, all he can do is risk it. He's in 15th in points, so he's very far outside the cut line. I mean, he has nothing to lose here. So, I think I agree with his move there. Try to stay on the lead lap, see what you can get done out there, and if it blows up, it blows up.
Yeah, 1,000% the right play that he's making. It does you no good to go a lap down in repairing that car. You just got to go for it and see if it sticks.
Now we got Rhett Tucker up front, 4 wins on the season. You got Dylan Patterson behind him, no wins this season. And Daniel Baudler back behind him, who's got the second most wins in Speed Racing Network history. Now I'll tell you a little secret here. So if Rhett Tucker were to win this race, that would be 5 wins for him. There are 2 drivers in Speed Racing Network history that also have 5 wins, and those are Dean Brummett and Cole Martin down in the Truck Series.
Yeah, Cole, congratulations to him. It is frustrating as another driver in the Truck Series, seeing him and 2 others really just kind of taking all the wins from everybody else. But it has been impressive seeing that, and we're, 16 races in the trucks. This is race 16 for the Xfinity Series, and to win 5 of 16 races is incredibly impressive. So I joke about that being frustrating, and half joke, it is kind of a little frustrating, but seriously impressive stuff to win 5 out of 16, let alone 20.
Well, I mean, and even with Rhett Tucker winning 4 of them this season, you have to remember that Dean Brummett's been in this series for 2 seasons. Jake Roell's been in it for 2 seasons. Daniel Baudler has been in it for 3 seasons. And so, for you to have almost as many wins as those 3 drivers in 1 season, your very first season with us, I mean, these guys are just far and away the best drivers we've got.
Oh, absolutely, and that's incredible to do any season, but to do it in your first season, still getting to know everybody, still getting to get that feel of everything, incredible performance and an incredible restart there for the 81 as well.
Yeah, as aggressive as he was making it to the front, I don't think he's going to be giving up this lead anytime soon, but right behind him, Daniel Baudler, Dylan Patterson are side by side for second place.
Yeah, and no disrespect to the 8, but I'm really curious and want to see that 6 get near the bumper of the 81 because I want to see how aggressive he gets going for the lead with that being in second place now. That bonus point can be huge for leading a lap. I want to see how he handles it here, even though we're still in the first half of this race.
Yeah, we did see a situation where Bobby Anderson in the Truck Series made it into the playoffs because of 1 lap lead. And that could be a situation here because Daniel Baudler is very close to that cut line. That 1 point could be the difference of staying in or going home.
Yeah, and another one I want to keep an eye on is that 35. You see him leading that second pack there. Josh Marcy, he's also needing a pretty big night, 7 points back from the cut line, but he has moved his way up to 4th after he was sitting around that 10th position when we got to that first caution. So he's having a nice rebound after starting 5th, and maybe that car is starting to come to him.
Looking around the track here, man, big group of cars right here, and that's really tough to get through here on a short track.
Yeah, and that is a nerve-wracking position if you're somebody like Devin Zimmerman or Aaron Gerwitz, where you're in that tight pack. Well, Gerwitz a little bit ahead now. Oh, check up, getting a little bit tight. That's a nice job from everybody. But if you're in that pack and you're close to that cut line, you want nothing to do with that. So it's, do I want to back out of it? Do I want to just try to be really pushing early in this run and try to get ahead of it? But the last thing you want to do is be stuck in the middle there.
And you can see Devin Zimmerman missing that front fender there, but front bumper doesn't seem to be hurting him too badly here.
That's impressive because this is, we always say short tracks, you don't really have to worry about the aero as much. Dover is one of those misnomers where, yeah, the aero does play a pretty good role, especially in the handling of things. That's a tough position, but he's making it work for him, sitting in 8th still.
We're almost 10 laps away from where we had our last caution, and so that's when Dylan Patterson kind of starts to come alive, and here he goes. So, he was passed by Daniel Baudler a little bit earlier, but now he's starting to make a run.
Yeah, and this is starting to get tight, especially even 2nd through 5th is starting to tighten up here. So I'm not sure if it's Daniel slowing up a little bit from that early run. Maybe he used a little bit too much tire and he's starting to conserve it, and he's kind of backing up to everybody, or if 4th and 5th are starting to speed up and catching him now that they got away from that little bit of a group that was there. Those 4 are starting to kind of get tightened back up. Now it'll spread out a little bit as Josh Marcy going to the inside of Dylan Patterson.
Yeah, they're going to be side by side, and so Daniel Baudler is going to be able to kind of walk away a little bit. And Jovi's just trying to figure out where to go.
And you can see he was torn on that one because the 35 got a little bit loose coming out of 4, and if you get a little loose, you do start to lose a lot of speed, and that does hurt you significantly here on the straightaway. But he did recover it pretty nicely and wound up getting around, and Jovi followed him through on the inside.
Yeah, so a nice group of cars up here, but going back a little ways, you still got Danny Dow back here still fighting for that second-tier playoffs, brought to you by Flavor Bomb. Right behind him, Nick Gowen, who was our pole sitter, back here in 13th position, but right behind him, Zach Taylor still fighting hard, even though that car looks a little banged up.
A little banged up, but it's doing the job right now, sitting in a good position for him. He's 14 points clear, 23 drivers in this race, so he's doing what he needs to do, being in the top half.
Now we're getting a little bit more racy up front once again. There's Jovi Saguiped right on the tail of Josh Marcy. He's going to get to that back bumper, not going to do anything about it just yet, but you can see these cars coming off that corner are a little bit more off the wall than some of those trucks were last night. I think they learned from the truck racing. You don't want to be right up against the wall there.
No, and that magnet pulls you in, and it's hard to recover from. I know the handling in my truck was off until I got a little bit of repair time under caution after making some contact with the wall. It doesn't take much to kind of throw the car or the truck off here at Dover. And the curious thing here is how aggressive is Jovi going to be trying to make this pass on the 35? They are teammates, so obviously there's going to be some communication there with each other, but at a certain point, if I'm the 3 and if I'm significantly quicker, I got to start thinking, all right, do I want to get by him? Is this just going to be causing too much pressure? Could I make a mistake being faster that really cost the 35, and now he's going to make that run on the inside? Still plenty of time, so it's not going to hurt too badly in the points. If, like I said earlier, if it's later in the race, I think you see a different way that this happens. But that's kind of about what I was expecting to see.
Yeah, Dylan Patterson finally gets past Josh Marcy, breaks back into the top 4 there. And now he is going to be under fire once again really, really quickly. But as we go back towards the back of the pack, Emerson Ardon way off pace right now. So, again, just waiting for that caution to come out so he can get that car fixed up a little bit more. And his teammate Mike Picci, who also still fighting for his playoff life, even further back, he's a lap down.
Yeah, he's a lap down, and the last thing he wants to see is Emerson get lapped because that'll cost him the lucky dog. If Emerson gets lapped, then Mike's going to be 2 laps down with the way that they're running right now. But it's a interesting spot there for Emerson. He's only about 5 seconds clear of Rhett Tucker, and that gap is closing in a hurry, about 0.6 a lap.
Yeah, we'll have to see exactly what happens here. Now, Mike, a very, very respectable driver. He is one of those guys that he doesn't want to hold anybody up. He'll race you as hard as he can possibly race you, but he's not going to do any damage up there, I don't believe.
No, I wouldn't expect him to do anything like that, especially already being a lap down. There's not a whole lot of position gain at this part, and in fact, I just heard him come over the race chatter, talking to the leaders, saying what he's going to do, and you can see him give plenty of space. That's a classy move right there. Always good to see that.
Yeah, definitely. He wants to see the actual race determine the winner and not a lap-down driver. But speaking of the race, Daniel Baudler right on the tail of Rhett Tucker, and he could really use this bonus point, so let's find out what he's going to do. He's going to dive to the inside.
Whoa, he wanted to make that little bit of a bump, but he's going to get the nice run out of the turn instead. He might be able to clear him out of turn 2, but it's going to be a nice little outside run here for the 81. They're going to still be side by side. I think the 6 should lead this lap, and in fact, he does get clear. Yep, 6 is going to lead this lap if he keeps it off the wall, which he does, and that's a huge bonus point there for Daniel Baudler.
That is a massive breath of relief from Daniel Baudler, not just to be up in the lead, but just so he gets that one extra point that he desperately needs, because even if he wins this race, technically he needs a little bit of help. Not much, but just a little bit of help in order to get in.
Now, I'm just kind of looking at numbers and doing mental math, which that's never really a great thing, but the way that they're running right now, if it ended at this point, Daniel Baudler would be in a good position here, because you do get those extra bonus points, winning the race, everything there, the way everybody's laid out. He should be good. Obviously, that's incredibly unofficial as we keep running, but he's just got to keep going with this, but there's still plenty of time to go that could change things.
Well, Rhett Tucker may have burned up his tires a little bit, thinking that it might be a short run because all these other runs have been short, because Jovi Saguiped just passed him, and here comes Dylan Patterson to make the same pass.
Yeah, and that's tough to do here. You can never predict when it's going to be a short run or a long run. Sometimes you think, all right, I think this is going to continue to be a lot of aggressive driving. We'll see some short cautions, and then it just doesn't play out that way, and you're just sitting there going, oh, that's not good, and you just see yourself starting to slide back farther and farther and farther. It's a real helpless feeling when you make that wrong call.
So Dylan still on the tail of Rhett Tucker here, trying to get back onto the podium. And look back a little further, we got Greg Olenek and Dustin Scruggs side by side back here, and both of them have had their damage already this race. So good to see them up back towards the front.
Yeah, you get banged up pretty good, and you still see a few of those cars sitting in the top 10. So that's nice resilience from them to keep going here. And Nathaniel Mound, one of those guys that needs to be resilient tonight. 1 point out coming in. Aaron Gerwitz, 1 point in coming in, and they are side by side running for 5th.
Yeah, and just ahead of them, Rhett Tucker is under fire, and Dylan Patterson going to dive down to the inside, try to get the position, and I think he'll just sneak through there.
Yeah, and you can see, I mean, I got to imagine that's just significant tire difference in terms of the fall off. The way that the 8 was able to take that turn, and the 81 was just having a lot of difficulty getting that hard drive off of the turn, tells me that he really has burned up those tires here in this stint.
And back to the Dustin Scruggs, Josh Marcy battle. Dustin Scruggs takes that position away from his teammate. But Marcy's going to try to take it right back on the inside.
Yeah, and now we're starting to get to the point in the race. We got under 60 laps to go. If we stay green, you're only looking at about 20 minutes of racing. I'm hoping that teammates are going to start communicating a little bit here. And if you're somebody that's around that cut line, there might be some, I won't say deals being made, but there's definitely going to be some communication. That might start taking effect at this point. You might see some of those drivers that are either safe or not in the playoffs at all, maybe helping out their teammates that are needing some points.
Well, one guy, and we're not going to cut away from this just yet, because that is a really, really good battle there. Nick Gowen going to follow him through as well. But now we'll jump back. Bo Tiffany, one of those guys that really needs those points. So he was only 4 points above the cut line coming into this race. And now he's back here in 13th position. And just kind of looking at the chart here, you got Devin Zimmerman that is behind him, so that helps him out a little bit. You got Marshall Stanley out there that is actually Marshall. I don't even see Marshall on the track.
No, he is not out there.
So that's big for a lot of these drivers to not have Marshall Stanley even there, because that will essentially put Marshall out of the playoffs.
Yeah, they're mathematically, I don't believe there's a way that he can make it at this point, being 4 points clear coming into this race, and that is gigantic with Austin coming up, and that is a road course specialist there. That, you know, if he was in the playoffs, that's, I'm not going to say that was guaranteed points for him, guaranteed winning points for him, but it was a very solid shot. But for him not being here tonight, that's a huge gap that's happening there.
Yeah, so that helps Bo a lot. Looking at the rest of the guys, Dylan Patterson up here in third, so he's going to pass Bo. Aaron Gerwitz up ahead of Bo as well. So Nathaniel Mon ahead of Bo. Daniel Baudler ahead of Bo. Josh Marcy ahead of Bo. So all these guys are ahead of Bo. Bo's got to get moving.
And he has done that, though, because one caution ago, he was 22nd, got the lucky dog to get back on the lead lap. Now he's up to 13th, so he is making the move. And, in fact, he's been a little bit quicker than the leaders have been. So he's now only 8 seconds back. It wasn't too long ago. He was about 9 seconds back. So he is moving, and maybe one of the better cars out there at this point in the run. So you see the 6 lose that second spot to Dylan Patterson, who's coming back alive. He said he liked the long runs, and it's showing here.
Yeah, Jovi Saguiped took the lead while we were talking there, and Dylan Patterson also passed Daniel Baudler to move up into second. But, yeah, now everybody's starting to kind of get spaced out a little bit, and I think it's time to start thinking about when do we pit?
Yeah, and you can go about 50-something laps here, so that pit window is open, I would say. That's kind of going off truck knowledge. There's going to be a little bit of differential here with the Xfinity cars. But I would say if you go another 10, 15 laps, that's probably that point. But there's always going to be somebody that might think, you know what, I'm going to go for it. I'm going to try to undercut and see if I can cover some ground while the leaders are on older tires. That might be something if you're on the outside of the points. Maybe you take that shot.
Yeah, and it's just a matter of who takes that first swing. Because the second that one of them comes into the pits and gets those fresh tires, that's really going to open the eyes of everyone in front of them.
Oh, without question, and you see that commonly. That was kind of a thing, that the trend that started in Formula One. It's really carried over to NASCAR now, where somebody will come in maybe 5 laps sooner than you're expecting, just to get that little extra burst. And yeah, it'll hurt on the back end, but everybody's going to be on old tires at that point. So you pick up here, you're seeing a drop off of about a second and a half a lap. So if you can do that and pick up 5 laps uncovered, I mean that's significant time, 5-7 seconds. So everybody's kind of gotten pretty good at catching that undercut and making sure that they minimize the damage. But if you're the first one to do it, it is an advantage for sure.
Right now, Aaron Gerwitz trying to get around Rhett Tucker, not able to do so, and that's allowed Greg Olenek to move on up. And again, this is Greg Olenek's home track, and he says he's done really well this week at this track. So he's expecting a good finish here, and right now knocking on the door of a top 5.
Yeah, and Olenek and Gerwitz, both 2 of the hard chargers of this race. Gerwitz started 15th. He's now up to 4th. Olenek started in 13th, up to 6th, maybe in 5th here pretty shortly.
Yeah, he is just looking for that gap, just looking for that spot that he can move on up. And Rhett Tucker has kind of fallen off here, and that aggression and I'm not saying aggression as far as out of control aggression. Rhett is extremely controlled, but he may have burnt those tires up thinking that it was going to be a short run, and so we're seeing him pay the price for it right now.
Yeah, it's real easy to do, and like I said earlier, it's that helpless feeling where you know that you're faster than the times are showing, but your tires just won't hang on to it, and you just start seeing those positions go away. If you guess right, it's huge because you get that big run. You're burning up the tire, sure, but you get that short stint and you can come in and capitalize on it. But as we see Aaron Gerwitz now making a pass, taking 3rd away from Daniel Baudler, and right behind him is Greg Olenek taking 4th from Baudler. So this train of Gerwitz and Olenek are starting to reel in everybody. They're now 2 seconds behind Patterson in 2nd. See if they can catch them here before this green flag pit stop.
Yeah, Mike Picci, again, one of the lap cars there. It was almost like a pick was made, not by Mike Lepicki's doing, but by the Gerwitz and by Olenek. So smart racing by them. Oh, no!
Oh!
Olenek up in the wall.
And that's just difficulty getting around a lapped car, and you try to time it right, you mistime it, and it's incredibly tough to do here at Dover. It's a slippery track, especially this point in a run. If you mistime it, you get in a little too deep or you get offline, it's real hard to catch that, and that kind of bit Olenek there.
Yeah, and that is, he is going to have to go into the pits and get something done there. I'm not sure if he's got a fast repair left or not. Oh, no, you know what? He does not have a fast repair left because, remember, he lost his hood a little bit earlier. So that may do it for Greg Olenek.
That's disappointing. That's somebody that was on a tear from 13th all the way up to 4th. Looked like one of the 3 or 4 best cars at this point in the run. It's not good to see that happen. Just getting tangled up there, getting around some lap traffic while racing for position. That's a very difficult thing to do, and just knowing when to pick your spot, because you want to get around the lap car, but you don't want to lose too much time away from the cars that you're racing. Just real difficult to do.
Yeah, Devin Zimmerman, one of our first cars to come into the pits on his own accord. So he will drop down in there, but Jovi Saguiped still leads his race, but only by 0.3 of a second. Oh, and here we go.
That's great recognition from the 3 and the 8, making sure that they knew, hey, this undercut's starting. Let's make sure that we minimize the damage, and they got in within a half lap of Zimmerman. Aaron Gerwitz, this is interesting. You're 1 point clear. No matter what you do, you are at risk of missing the playoffs for the second round. If you pick something, you got to commit to it. We'll see if he comes in this time. If he doesn't, he will. So that kind of kills the idea I was thinking. If he didn't, just run with it all the way to the end of it. But he's going to decide to come in and only lose a lap. So he might lose maybe a second compared to Zimmerman and the top 3 that did stay out.
Yeah, but he also did lead a lap there, I believe. So,
yes.
Again, getting that all-important point, especially with him being right on the cut line. Now, we did see last night in the Truck Series, the rule in this series is if there is a tie on the cut line, both of the people that are tied or whoever that is tied will all make it in to the playoffs next round. And so we could see another instance here where it's not the playoff 10 anymore, it's the playoff 11 or 12.
Just completely killing your branding, right?
I know. It's just, I mean, anytime we try to put together the branding for this stuff, we figure something out that messes it up.
Always seems to be the way. And Zachary Taylor out in front, that's going to be a short-lived lead as he's going to make his way through. I'm not sure if he led a lap or not, but somebody that is going to lead a lap is Bo Tiffany. So he goes from a lap down, and before 2 cautions even happen, he'll pick up a bonus point for leading a lap.
Yeah, and now it's just a matter of what does he do with it. And so if there's a caution here really shortly and he stays out, then, man, he could be sitting really pretty. But we'll just have to see if that plays itself out. But we got green flag pit stops at Dover, something that nobody thought we'd have.
And you could see the difference in tire wear right here with the speed as he just gets blown by. At this point, you know what? I think you're committed. Stay with it. Run it as long as you can. In fact, it sounds like he might be coming in. But to me, I would just stick with it. Go for it. At this point, you've already lost significant time. Might as well see if a caution can come out.
Well, and you got to understand that these guys last pitted on lap 62. And so they would have had to have gone 88 laps on this fuel. There's no way. It's not going to happen. Yeah. But I see what you're saying, though. Stay out there as long as you can and hope that there's a caution.
Yeah, and talking to 62, I think I had it in my mind that it was about 10 laps later for that last caution. So, yeah, that probably was what just happened, where he took it as long as he could just to see if that caution would come out. And then at that point, you're only looking at 6 cars on the lead lap, maybe 5 cars at this point. So anybody a lap down would get the wave around unless they chose to come in, which I wouldn't. But yeah, that's probably about that point.
Yeah, Daniel Keith Jr. now leads this race, and now he is not pitted yet, and all these drivers are trying to get around him as he decides when he's going to pit. Him and Emerson Ardon have not pitted yet, and so still a little bit of decision-making there. Oh, and Keith. Oh, and we do have a caution. Derek DeSilva.
Wow. And this race just got flipped a little bit because we still have, well, now the scoring is going through. I think we still have about a dozen cars trapped a lap down.
This is interesting. And all that happened here, Derek DeSilva just loses it off the corner and just loops it. Yeah, he just loses it right here.
Not a difficult spot to do that, especially on newer tires. I'm guessing he came in not too long ago. If it was within the first 3, maybe 4 laps, those tires do still want to slide out from underneath you, coming out of the turns where you kind of hit that ramp up, and that's where that car gets real light. And especially if you try to pin it on the inside like he was, it makes it where it really just wants to lose that rear traction and just kind of get around, and I think that's what happened there.
Yeah, and you're going to see all these cars coming into the pits. Now, again, Rhett Tucker had just pitted 2 laps prior, so he's going to stay out there, and all these cars are going to get wave arounds, and it's about to get interesting once again. But let's see if we can't get Rhett Tucker in here and find out what he's thinking, because man, what a great race so far. So let's pull him up into the booth and talk to him just a little bit. Rhett Tucker, this is Sean and Brandon Domain up in the booth. How's it going, buddy?
Come on, boys.
Man, so tell us about your strategy. Did you think that you'd be in the lead under caution here with 31 to go with all these cars in front of you getting wave arounds?
I did not. Honestly, I was kind of just trying to stretch it out and hope for a caution. But I wound up, only having 2 gallons of fuel left, so I had to come in.
Well, man, go ahead, Brandon.
I was just going to ask, with the balance, it seems like that long run, I won't say came out of nowhere, but it was a little bit of a surprise with the way that the few cautions before that came pretty quickly. Did that catch you off guard, or was that something that you were thinking, all right, maybe they're going to settle down a little bit?
I was thinking they were going to settle down a little bit. I mean, you never know at Dover, dude. I'm not the best at saving my tires. That is not my strong suit, and this wall comes up in a hurry, so hopefully I can just keep her off the wall and try to hang on to these tires a little bit longer.
Well, you are already locked into the next round of the playoffs, but you do have 4 wins on the season, and you get this 5th win, then you are now tied for 3rd all-time wins in Speed Racing Network history. Any pressure there at all?
No, man. I just want to be the all-time win leader.
I love it. Well, you got Jake Roell to look up to on that one, but you got plenty of time. He's been at it for 2 seasons. You've been out for 1, and you're already up towards the top of the leaderboard. So, man, keep it up. Bring it home here tonight, and we'll see if we can talk to you afterwards.
Thank you, guys.
So we'll drop him back down into his race chatter. He does have a lot of fans out there in the chat. So having a lot of fun there, and Miss April Post out there saying, "Get it, Tucker," and she's out there watching every single week.
Man, a lot of fans, a lot of confidence. I love that. I'm not thinking about 3rd most wins. I'm thinking about I want the most wins. I love that confidence.
Oh yeah, and for good reason. I mean, he's definitely been the class of the field this season. There are definitely 4 or 5 drivers out there that have really broken apart from the rest of them. But that's what the playoffs are all about. Is you got to get here and you got to perform under this type of pressure, and he's done a good job of that.
Yeah, I mean, his 2nd at Talladega, the win at Kansas, you can't do a whole lot better than that. And now here he is leading the way and almost maxing out points for an entire 3 race round. That's incredible performance from the 81.
So we are going to come around with 28 laps to go, and if we get an average run of the 3 runs that we've had so far, then we're going to go all the way to the finish here. So these guys, they better have figured out their strategy now, because there might not be time to figure it out later.
Yeah, and this happened last night. It was about the same length run to close the race, and once we did that, you almost had the vibe that people were thinking, all right, another caution's going to come out. We've had a few stacked up against each other, and it just never came, and people got spread out at that point, and so it was very difficult to catch up and make a pass. We'll see if that happens here again today.
Well, you got Rhett Tucker and his teammate Nathaniel Mon on the outside. Now, again, Nathaniel Mon, we mentioned this at the very beginning of the broadcast, where he is just that silent killer, man. He's out there. You don't even realize he is still in the playoffs, and now here he is in 2nd place with a chance to make it into the next round.
I keep harping on this, but if these 2 get pulled away from the rest of the field, I'm real curious if the 81 maybe works something out for the 84, even if it's just for a lap. Let Nathaniel Mon get in front, lead a lap, pick up a bonus point, help the teammate out.
Man, we're getting really, really racy here as Jovi on the outside trying to defend that position. That inside line has been better all night long, but Jovi gets a killer run on the outside and gets that 4th position away from Dylan Patterson.
If you get that run on the outside, especially early, it is hard to hold that off, and that was a fantastic job from Jovi. Now making a look on the inside, seeing if he can do that here once again, getting a monster run, and wow, he made that look easy.
Yeah, Danny Dowd, no slouch at all, our Season 1 champion of Mid-South Madness, so he knows how to wheel a car, and Jovi just made that look simple.
That's something hard to keep up during the green flag spots. Not sure if Dow came in during that last caution. He might have stayed out and have a little bit older tires. And if he came in early in those green flag runs, that might explain why he's sliding back here a good bit.
Yeah, he came in on lap 111. Everybody else came in around lap 118, except for Rhett Tucker, who came in on lap 112. And so Jovi and Dylan actually have fresher tires than Rhett Tucker, but Tucker doesn't care. He's out 9/10 of a second.
That's that joy of not having to worry about points today. You just let it rip, see what happens, let the chips fall wherever they do. He said he's not the best at conserving tires. Might as well just run it into the ground and see if it sticks.
Well, I mean, with only 25 laps to go, you don't really have to conserve all that much here. But Jovi trying to make something of it, because it was 0.8 of a second, now it's 6.
Yeah, and really, at least in the truck, I would say it's pretty similar in the Xfinity car. You're looking at 15 laps being that real benchmark where things kind of start to fall time-wise on the tires significantly. You might be losing maybe half a tenth or so the first 15 laps every lap, but once you get past that, it drops pretty heavy. So we're right about at that point where I'm be expecting to see Jovi make a pretty good run here.
Yeah, Jovi has cut it in half again, so we are down to a quarter second So we're about to have a good race for the lead. And again, Rhett Tucker doesn't need this win, and really neither does Jovi. These two are both in the second round of the playoffs. So, it's funny that they've got nothing to race for, but yet they're having their best races here.
Hey, pressure's off. Just go for it. And, they're also two of the class of the field when it comes to this season. So no real surprise to see them out there in a fun but difficult track. With Dover, you typically see some of the best drivers make their way towards the front, and we're seeing that here again. But if they make that little bit of contact, Dylan Patterson, he's only 2 points clear coming into this. He has led a lot of laps. Not sure if it's the most laps to pick up a little bit extra help there, but he might be the beneficiary. And even if Jovi just gets this inside run, if it takes him long enough, Dylan might have the window open for him as well.
Yeah, he's going to get down to the inside of Rhett Tucker here, so... Oh, they are awfully close coming off that corner.
And that was tight and just very nice driving between those two as you see some of the lap traffic. And that might have held up Jovi just a little bit. Look at the run that Patterson got.
It did, and Dylan Patterson gets down to the inside. Man, he wants this win.
I mean, win the race, you advance to round 2 if you're him, because you're in the good by 2 points coming into this. That would lock up a spot. Jovi kind of leaning in there a little bit, squeezing him down to the inside, trying to kill the run. Very effective strategy.
Man, if you think that Jovi or Rhett Tucker care if you need to get into the playoffs or not, they do not. They are out there to win races. They are not going to let you win anything. You have to earn it.
Meanwhile, while all this is happening, Daniel Baudler has closed the gap because of the racing up in front, and he's now making his way around Tucker for third as this lead battle continues to go for a second, now third lap.
Man, shades of last night in the Truck Series where it came down to the last lap, and we had all sorts of great racing going on all over the track and people jockeying for positions to get into the second round of the playoffs. Same deal here. Dylan Patterson needs the win to guarantee him the spot. Daniel Baudler needs a great finish and then some people to mess up, which has happened here tonight. So he's in a good spot here tonight too.
Yeah, and I would say that the 8 and the 6 have been the best cars when it comes to long runs all night. So if the 6 can get around Jovi in the 3, you might be seeing something here with these two racing for what could be their playoff lives going into round number 2.
And while all that is going on, Nathaniel Mon back there in 6th position. Remember, he was 1 point out of the cut coming into this race, and now he's dropping back to 7th position. Oh no, we got a wreck here. We got that is Brad Williams involved, Stan Houseman involved, and that may have been Troy Teichmeyer, I believe, is the other one involved there. So none of our playoff drivers involved in that one.
No, but the one driver that wanted to see that the least is definitely a playoff driver, as Dylan Patterson was starting to check out, had a half-second lead, and on the race chatter did not have a joyous reaction to seeing the caution come out. Don't mean to laugh, but that actually caught me pretty funny there.
Yeah, it was Josh Marcy. So I was incorrect. Josh Marcy involved. Oh, massive hit by Troy Teichmeyer.
I think that was Stan Houseman that caught a piece of Teichmeyer as well at the end of that. It was definitely a bright green car. I think that was Houseman. But, man, that's tough. And for Marcy, that might be the end of the run for him in the playoffs.
Yeah, and it looked like Marcy just may have gotten a little out of shape before that all happened. Let's go back and see if we can't get a better view of what happened with Marcy here.
Yeah, he caught the wall, and it's real tough. And if you get a good run or a bad run, you're looking at about a 10, 12 mile an hour difference coming out of the turns here. And as fast as everything happens at Dover, 10, 12 miles an hour, it sounds like a lot, but it's even more of a difference. And you catch people so quick, and it's hard sometimes where if somebody goes in just thinking, I'm going to get out of the way, you might not read it in time. Like, everything just happens so fast here, covering a lot of ground, 1 mile and 22 seconds. And that's just one of those deals where you catch the wall, slows you up, and it's just hard to recover. And if you're somebody behind, it's very difficult to read what's going to happen in front of you.
Okay, so Emerson Ardon with that banged up, beat up car is currently registered as the leader. Now, if he stays out, I guarantee you a lot of people are going to hate that move. However, you have to remember he is 15th in points. He needs a win and help to get in. I think he's just going to dive. I think he's going to go in the pits. I think that's but I would not blame him at all at this point for staying out. I know a lot of people would hate that move on old tires and everything, but wouldn't blame him at all.
In fact, he is stopping on the track, it looks like, but I think it sounds like he's taking an EOL, which that is, you know what, I, like you said, I would not blame him one bit if he took that shot on old tires. They're not ancient tires, but they're old enough at this point. It would be tough to hold off the field, and it would make you a lot slower on this start, and you might spin the tires a little bit, but would I blame him? Absolutely not. You got to take that shot. Him taking an EOL and going to the back of the pack, effectively killing his chances to moving to the next round, incredibly classy gesture. The competitor in me is thinking, man, Emerson, what are you doing? But very, very nice touch from him saying, you know what, I'm going to let the leaders take this one. I'm not going to cause any trouble. I'm just going to go to the back.
Yeah, man, he is just that kind of a guy. He's a fellow broadcaster. He broadcasts on a different channel. I sincerely enjoy watching his broadcasts. A very, very knowledgeable guy, and just like you said, a very classy driver out there on the track also. So good on him. Again, if it's me or you, I don't know, man. I might take the risk, but I think that was the right move overall for him.
I mean, I'd like to think I'm a pretty classy, respectful driver, but at that point, if I needed to win the race to have a shot at getting in, I don't care. I'm going for it at that point. I'm staying out there.
Yeah, and can't say enough good things about the drivers in these leagues because really we do have the best drivers in iRacing here on Speed Racing Network, whether it's the best drivers on the track or the best drivers just in general as people. I'm telling you, these guys come together in hard times. They really help each other out on the track. Overall, yes, we're very competitive out there, but every single one of these guys would bend over backwards to help you. So just best league in the world.
Oh, yeah, it's absolutely like a brotherhood. That's all racing in general, but it really feels like it here as well, maybe more so than most leagues. And speaking of racing and leagues, Jovi Saguiped, one of the leaders here in this league, is off to a great jump here with 11 to go on this restart.
Yeah, and just like we've seen all night long, that restart has proved to be very, very effective. And he is going to jump out and take a nice little lead. But look back in 5th place. We haven't talked about him all night long, besides him being in wrecks a little bit earlier in the race. Zach Taylor all of a sudden sticking his nose in the top 5.
Yeah, and he got kind of slowed up there a little bit. You saw Rhett Tucker out of turn 2 on that first lap catch the wall, and it slowed up the field to kind of accordion them a little bit. But Zachary Taylor in exact position that he needs to be in to make sure that he advances. 14 points clear entering, riding in 5th. If it ends right now, he is through.
Man, what a great drive for him, because he could have just up and left this race, and nobody would have blamed him after the start that he had there. But he is a fighter, man. He's going to stay in this until the bitter end, and now he is right on the tail of Rhett Tucker trying to break into the top 4.
And how about in 6th, right behind these two racing for 4th and 5th? You got Aaron Gerwitz, the bubble driver, entering this race, 1 point clear. He's in a solid position. You see, I believe it's Ryan Ducallum smacking the turn 4 wall coming out of that one.
Yeah, big hit for Ryan Ducallum there. I was just about to mention him. That again, he was 9 points outside the cut coming in, and he was up there in the top 10. But now he's going to fall back to 12th position after smacking the wall. So he's going to need to do a little bit of work here in the next 8 laps. But up front, Jovi Saguiped just kind of driving away. Daniel Baudler loving that 2nd position though.
He does love it, and in this short sprint to the finish, 11 laps, this plays perfectly for Jovi. He has been better on the short runs. The longer runs, it's definitely been Dylan Patterson in the 8. Daniel Baudler has kind of been in that middle ground where he's been good in general. I think he's a little bit better on the long runs, but I don't think there's going to be enough time for the tires to wear enough for them to make up this difference unless Jovi makes a mistake.
Just kind of going back through the pack here, we got some good racing between these three. We got Rhett Tucker, we got Zach Taylor, and Aaron Gerwitz just nose to bumper.
Great racing here. Did just hear over the race chat, it sounds like Emerson Ardon blew the engine on his car, so that might be why he took the EOL. He knew he had some damage. It sounds like his night is over and his playoff run is over as well.
Well, these guys are, man, out of our top 10, all 10 of them in the playoff hunt here. So this is going to be big implications. They need every single spot here in the next 4 laps.
And I tell you, the last person that wants to see that, you saw that green name in 16th was Michael Picci. He came into this race 11 points clear, but he sees all playoff drivers in the top 10, one more in 13th. He is in a dangerous position 2 laps down.
Oh, this is going to get really crazy. Oh, my goodness. And we're going to have to do some super fast math. I've already talked to Jason Tripp, who is the league president, to see if we can get an update on the points immediately following this race so we could possibly announce those while we're doing interviews. So we'll see if we can get that to happen.
It is a nerve-wracking wait. Last night I knew I was pretty good, finishing 8th, but then waiting for my teammate to see if he had that news that he made it, and he did not make it. But it's a nerve-wracking few moments. Hopefully we can cut that short as we watch a great battle here for 5th. Aaron Gerwitz, this could be exactly what he needs to make sure that he advances to the second round, as we only have a mile and a half left here at Dover.
Yeah, Zach Taylor going to fight him on the outside, but Aaron Gerwitz going to get that position. Jovi Saguiped, here we go, white flag, and nobody really in sight of Jovi, and so Jovi may pull off his next win right here tonight.
The worst person in the mind of Daniel Baudler right now might be Dylan Patterson, who's making a huge run against him on the outside. Could Daniel Baudler lose the playoff run because of losing second place? He's trying to hold off Patterson. He does. That might be huge in the playoffs as Jovi Saguiped picks up another win. Daniel Baudler might be moving on in the playoffs by holding off Dylan Patterson for second in a close race at the line.
Man, I got to tell you, that was one of the most fun races we have had in a long time. Such a small track. And look at all these cars bunched up, everybody giving their congratulations, but nobody wants to get off the track.
That's what we were talking about in the driver chat last night. Like, yeah, there's some frustration with this kind of pseudo short track racing, but Dover is so much fun to drive. It's difficult. You do get angry on this track every now and then because it's so easy to mess up. There is a lot of technical ability on it, but it is a fun racetrack.
Jovi Saguiped from Roell Smith Racing, and I know he had owner Jake Roell up in his ear, and Jake chose to be the spotter tonight instead of doing the broadcast here tonight, and for good reason. He wanted to be sure his boys made it into the next round of the playoffs, and Jovi paying it off here tonight.
Yeah, pressure was off. He was locked in as soon as he started this race, and he made good use of it. Aggressive when he needed to be, but he's also just one of the better drivers in the series. And a track like this, it does pay off to be skillful, and it definitely showed here with Jovi taking a 1-second win in that final short run with 11 laps on that final stint.
Well, let's go down and see our results while Jovi continues to burn it down here on the track. In fact, I'm not sure it's going to show us our results, so this might get a little hairy. So you know what? We're going to have to pull up the ticker on the side there. So we got Jovi Saguiped up in first place. Daniel Baudler with the second place finish that he desperately needed. Dylan Patterson there in third. Rhett Tucker for Bronco Motorsports in fourth. And then Aaron Gerwitz in fifth for Rev Racing.
Yeah, that's huge for Gerwitz. I believe that might be enough for him. Zachary Taylor had a couple wrecks there, still winds up in sixth. Nathaniel Mon, one of the first driver out entering the race, in seventh. Is he going to make it? We'll have to find out here shortly. Gregory Joyner in eighth. Devin Zimmerman in ninth. Bo Tiffany went from a lap down, got the lucky dog, was leading the race, a caution later, finishes out in 10th.
Yeah, Nick going in 11th for Bronco Motorsports. Ryan Ducallum for Royal Smith Racing in 12th. Danny Dow for Team SRN in 13th. His teammates, Daniel Keith Jr. and Stan Hausman in 14th and 15th. Mike Picci, one of our playoff hopefuls, back in 16th. He ended up a couple of laps down there. Derek De Silva, his teammate, in 17th. Troy Teichmeyer in 18th. Emerson Ardon in 19th after blowing his engine. And Josh Marcy from Royal Smith Racing rounds out the top 20. So let's see. Whew, man, let's breathe just a little bit, and then let's see what we can do to pull up Dylan Patterson up here and talk to him about his race, because man, he pulled off a good one. That is definitely for sure. So Dylan Patterson, Sean, and Brandon up in the booth, man. How's it going? He is speechless. I'm telling you, he's speechless. I had such a good race. And hey, Dylan, we're going to try you one more time here, buddy. How's it going out there? All right. Well, Dylan doesn't want to talk to us, and for good reason. We talked to him while he was in the lead, and he's a little bit upset with us, I think, that he didn't bring it home. So instead, let's go to Daniel Baudler. And I'm sorry, I'm going to have to razz Daniel here just a little bit, because, telling us that he was not good at this track and then ending up in second place, I just don't believe Daniel Baudler anymore. Daniel, how's it going here tonight?
Oh, pretty good. Still a little uncertain. I noticed Marshall didn't make the race, so I don't know where we shook out in that, but man, what a stressful race.
Well, we are working on that right now. We are doing everything we can to figure out those standings as quickly as possible while we're interviewing you here. But what was the pressure like, especially on that last lap, as you saw Dylan Patterson right there side by side with you?
Yeah, he's a teammate, and I told him after the race, I said, man, I hated to do that to you, but I absolutely had to, trying to make these playoffs and get advanced to the next round. So I don't normally like to do that, especially that aggressive to somebody, especially not for the win, but definitely had to. But yeah, man, stressful race, but hats off. I had Jake Roell in my ear tonight. Dude, he talked me through this race, got me through it, and hopefully we made the playoffs there. I think we gave it the best shot we had. That was pure Jake Roell right there.
Yeah, absolutely. That was a great race for you tonight. Obviously, one spot short of where you ultimately wanted to be, but I'll definitely say that you gave it as much as you could going for that second round. How did that race play out? Obviously, it felt like you were really good on the long runs, but you also had that little bit of short run speed as well. Was that caution at the end, obviously, was that kind of that thing that you just did not want to see, or did you think maybe I had a little bit of a shot here with that short run?
I don't know. I guess it worked out, but if I had to think back on it, I don't know. I was a lot faster than those guys there right before that last caution, but not sure, if I would have had the ultimate really long run there, those guys could have got back around me. But the short runs weren't too bad for me tonight, but I was struggling with speed all week long and seemed to find just enough of it tonight to stay up towards the front. I was really unhappy with where we qualified, but stayed out of the mess, man, and just kept it up front, kept it clean, and gave myself the best shot I could.
Well, Daniel, unofficially, because I have to say that because we're going to go back and verify absolutely everything there. But good sir, you are in by 1 point. Congratulations.
All right, man. Well, that's good. Definitely them laps led were big for me. I definitely knew I wanted to get up there and get a bonus point for leading the lap. So
that's what saved your life here tonight. Nathaniel Mon is going to miss the playoffs by one single solitary point here tonight.
I hate it for him, man. He's a good dude, good driver. That sucks. That's tough, man. I guess I'm just happy that I wasn't the misfortunate one tonight.
Oh, definitely, man. And hey, congratulations on that. And again, really, really great race, ending up in second place there. And next time you tell me that you're bad at a track, I'm just not even going to listen to you.
I think I'm just going to say I'm bad at them all from now on. It seems to give me luck.
It does seem to help you out a lot, man. Anybody you want to thank here tonight before we let you go?
Yeah, again, I got to thank Jake Roell for spotting me tonight and getting me through all this and helped me get in the playoffs. But also I want to thank Sparkle and Shine for the sponsorship this year. That's pretty big of him. He didn't need to do that, but stepped up and helped me out. Got to thank David Duke, RD, Motorsports, everybody, SRN, you guys for the broadcast, and just everybody involved. Man, this is a fun league, and really enjoy it.
All right, buddy. Well, we're going to let you get right back to it, and we will see you next week as we go into the Circuit of the Americas. And you're a pretty good road racer yourself, so maybe a chance to start off this next round of the playoffs really well.
Yeah, it's going to be tricky, man, but definitely more comfortable there than I was here, that's for sure.
All right, buddy. Well, have a great night. Congratulations once again.
Guys.
All right, now let's go see if we can't track down our winner, Mr. Jovi Saguiped, and bring him up into the booth right now. And Jovi, this is Sean and Brandon up in the booth, man, and congratulations on another big win for you here tonight. And, man, you didn't even need the win.
Thank you. I know I didn't, but I was like, me and Jake had a bet. If I came from the back to the front, I got $15. But if I did it, I gave him $15.
Looks like Jake Roell is paying you some money here tonight. So what did it for you?
Honestly, I don't know. In the first half of the race, I could not find anything. I was burning up, and then that middle long run, I found something once I was coming through the pack with Josh, and then I just started clicking on all cylinders, and I took 2 tires on the last pit stop.
Definitely worked out for you, and it was something that we noticed that as the race got going, you definitely did pick up speed. The thing I'm curious about, now you got to win at Vegas, you got to win at Talladega, Dover, 3 very different tracks. How do you feel that translates to maybe picking up a road course win next week in Austin?
Oh my God, I will pray as much as I can to even get a top 10. I am horrible at road. At Daytona Road, I finished 18th, so this is kind of a good boost to go into COTA.
Man, I mean, that's the way to do it, is just get in there, be really, really super consistent in there, because you know that some people are going to fall off, but this is a very, very talented top 10 that we've got going on into the next round of the playoffs, including the guy that just came in second place, Daniel Baudler, who snuck in by a single point. And so, man, you got a little bit of work cut out for you, as everybody is on even playing field next week. But we're going to let you go here in a second and start practicing already. But anybody you want to thank before we let you go?
I would love to thank my boys at RSR, Josh, Ryan, Troy, Dustin, and them. Shout out to Josh. He was coming through the field. He had one of the fastest cars, and shout out to our sponsors off Apex Designs, and shout out to you guys always throwing this for us every week to race.
Man, well, we absolutely enjoy it. We enjoy watching you out there on the track. Congratulations once again, and we'll see you next week at COTA.
Thank you, guys. Go faster.
Always go faster.
That.
Always go faster.
Always go faster, baby.
All right, buddy. Have a great night.
Have a good night, guys.
All right.
Man, getting the win and getting the tagline in the same night.
I think he's trying to take your job, Brandon.
Hey, I mean, he got double purse tonight, apparently winning an extra $15 on top, and just taking everything.
Well, let's talk about what's going to happen next week, because we are on our way to the Circuit of the Americas. We are down to 10 drivers in the hunt for that championship. And so now, and we'll go through those 10 drivers right now. So Rhett Tucker, Jovi Saguiped, who we just heard from, Greg Joyner, Zach Taylor, Dylan Patterson, Aaron Gerwitz, Bo Tiffany made it in. Man, he had a huge run tonight, made it in by 4 points. I'm sorry, 3 points. Take that back. Mike Picci snuck in by 2 points. Devin Zimmerman in by 2 points. And Daniel Baudler in by 1 single solitary point with that lap led here tonight. So that is your top 10 going into next week at COTA. What are you expecting to see?
Well, first of all, the thing I noticed here was 9 of the top 10 that entered this race wound up staying in, despite how tight it was in the point standings. That's pretty impressive. But next week, Circuit of the Americas, that is a track that if you're a Formula One fan or an Indy fan, you're definitely know what it is. But the amount of time that you've seen stock cars or trucks or anything out there is very slim. So there's a lot of a lack of information onto what to expect out there. So it's going to be real interesting. You can kind of go off Daytona, but there's still 2 incredibly different road courses. Honestly, I don't even know what to expect. I enjoy road racing, and I'm still not sure if what I've been doing in practice is good or not in the truck. So it's going to be real interesting to see. Obviously, you're going to look at a guy like Marshall Stanley and Daniel Baudler and guys that are comfortable on the road course. They will have an advantage. It is an incredibly technical track. There's a lot of differences there. There's the rhythm section. There's a lot of super slow down spots and it throws everything at you. So it's going to be real interesting next week.
Man, it is going to be a lot of fun. But our very next broadcast, we are right back here again at Dover for the Cup Series, which, man, they've got some playoff implications going on there as well. So a cutoff race on Sunday night. Man, it's going to be a blast. 200 laps on that one. And we thought we got our money's worth here tonight with 150. Can't wait to see what happens with 200.
Oh, man, Cup cars at Dover for 200 laps, and you throw in the cutoff race, and the schedule did us a favor following the Cup schedule. By having Dover as a cutoff race, it's normally a great track already. Throwing in the playoff implications as well just adds the intensity. Absolutely love how this has worked out. Can't wait for Sunday night.
Man, it is going to be an absolute blast. So everybody come back and join us on that episode of Speed Racing Network. But for right now, for myself, Sean Griffith, for Brandon Domain, and everyone here at Speed Racing Network, we always like to remind you to go faster.